This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, November 24th, 2020, getting into the week here. We have a lot to talk about today, and as usual, we're going to do news until we run out of news. Then we're going to open the phone lines for your comments, questions, observations, and opinions. And so let's just get right on into it. Mike is in our control room, ready to well, basically keep us out of trouble, keep all the machinery working and so forth. Some new developments here in this issue of the presidency. Now, President Trump has authorized the initial protocols for the Biden transition. And this was immediately seized on by pundits and corporate media and the Democrats as saying, well, see, Trump is getting ready to concede here. Trump insists he's not conceding the election, that they're going to continue to pursue challenges in the court system. And apparently the General Services Administration has now approved the Biden transition funds. So apparently, I think what was going on is Trump was starting to be seen as an obstructionist against the possible Biden administration. But again, he insists he is not conceding and that they are going to continue challenging fraudulent elections all across the country here. Apparently, Trump's legal team is still out there saying that Trump's landslide victory to be confirmed. Remember, there was an analysis we reported on last week that if you took out all the questionable votes that were going on, analysis shows that Trump would have over 400 electoral college votes. So we know how bad the election fraud was. Story coming out of Natural News here. The mail-in votes in Michigan and Pennsylvania show evidence of a coordinated vote fraud for Biden. And the results released on November 5th showed that Biden got a huge lead over Donald Trump by absentee mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania and Michigan. And apparently, Biden got a 60-point lead over Trump in Pennsylvania and a 38-point lead in Michigan, according to results released by the New York Times. Now, other swing states such as Ohio, North Carolina, Florida, and Minnesota did not report any massive advantage in mail-in votes for Biden. However, the paper noted its data did not report all counties in those two states. Now, over at the Republican National Committee, their chair, Ronna McDaniel, says that she has 500 sworn affidavits on 11,000 incidents of voter fraud. And we keep hearing the Democrats and the corporate media say, well, there's no proof, there's no proof, there's no proof. A sworn affidavit is admissible in a court of law as these legal proceedings continue. And at this point, it's pretty obvious it's going to be heading for the Supreme Court. And despite the political pressures being put on them and probable threats going on behind the scenes, it's hard to imagine the Supreme Court declaring this last election legitimate in light of all of the allegations of election fraud that have surfaced in the last week or so. Now, Tucker Carlson has backed off of his criticism of Sidney Powell and has acknowledged that there does seem to be some fraud out there. He's basically saying that the election was rigged for Biden. And he went on to say that big tech censorship is one of the worst forms of election tampering, and cited specifically Google's suppression of Breitbart News. And basically, yeah, it's a big problem. This was election interference, and Google was directly interfering with the 2020 election by censoring independent news websites, such as whatreallyhappened.com. And they did it also to Natural News and Brighteon. Pardon me. Breitbart News is no longer showing up in Google search results. They're still out there trying to control what the American people see and hear, and more importantly, what they think here. And again, another article from Natural News. If Google is not stopped, the rogue search engine will steal every election for Democrats from now on in perpetuity. And they're absolutely right. The social media tech giants clearly interfered in this election. And unless something is done, they will have no reason not to interfere in all future elections. And probably they're already trying to interfere in the Georgia Senate runoffs there. And if there's one thing the congressional hearing with Sundar Pichai showed us all, this Google CEO, it's that the Google empire is planning to steal every election from here on out for leftist Democrats, assuming that nobody does anything to stop it. Now, obviously, one thing that we can all do is look for search engines that are not linked to Google. Unfortunately, some of the so-called alternative search engines out there actually run through Google behind their front screen. So then, Rudy Giuliani is out there pointing the fact that votes from 28 states were sent to Germany and Spain to be counted and then rigged by Smartmatic. And basically saying this was done down in Venezuela to install dictators and is now being used here in the U.S. to rig elections for Democrats and the incoming liberal dictatorship. Now, speaking to Lou Dobbs, Rudy Giuliani revealed some bombshells about how the left is attempting to steal the 2020 election, including with the help of Dominion voting systems that run Smartmatic software. In 27 or 28 states, Giuliani explained, votes were tabulated offshore in Germany and Spain. I can't understand why that was ever allowed in the first place. You know, these elections are the foundation of what we think is our democratic system of electing leaders to our republic. And, you know, after all the talk about foreign interference in our elections, especially after 2016, when they insisted Russia was interfering in the election, why are we allowing companies in foreign countries to tabulate our elections? I mean, it's just, you know, an invitation to fraud, and it should not be allowed to happen. Now, apparently, House Democrats are trying to fight back by seeking the disbarment of Rudy Giuliani and 22 other Trump election lawyers. Now, they don't have any grounds for disbarment. It's just another way of trying to load them up with all kinds of busy work to keep them from focusing on the real issue of the election fraud, where they're just being petty and childlike and, you know, what the heck is going on there. Now, we're getting another story. This is from richardsonpost.com. Yet another confirmation that United States European Command did, in fact, take control of servers in Germany that were rigged to switch votes. And apparently, they're saying the Skytel server seizure is no longer speculation. Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert can now publish it as fact, but were they CIA servers? Now, Pamela Geller is confirming that not only are the servers in U.S. hands, but hands under the control of Donald Trump, not the deep state. So maybe that's the big blockbuster they're preparing for their appearance at the Supreme Court. Yet another video has surfaced of Dominion Voting Systems' Eric Coomer explaining to election officials how to switch votes. Now, remember, a couple of weeks ago, somebody got their hands on the instruction manual for the Dominion voting systems and discovered in the back of it specific instructions on how to apply weighting factors to the votes coming in, how to switch them, how to delete them. It's built into the system, and it's even in the instruction manual. Okay. Now, Rudy Giuliani has now revealed why the Trump legal team separated themselves from Sidney Powell. And he said it's because they're pursuing two different theories. And the Trump legal team is focused on misconduct of the election by state officials in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and elsewhere. And Giuliani is arguing that Trump's constitutional rights were deprived in those states, and he predicted that some of the lawsuits will make it to the Supreme Court. Now, he didn't elaborate on what Powell was working on, but apparently, according to this other story that came out, well, it's a YouTube video we have posted to whatreallyhappened.com. She's talking about suspect voting data and a major lawsuit to be launched in Georgia. Now, here's an interesting little piece of information. Apparently, Sidney Powell is registered as a military lawyer, which would give her the authority to prosecute treason during a potential tribunal. So apparently, I mean, there's a lot of media lies going on about Sidney Powell, and it's very intense. They're still out there trying to fight this thing and convince Americans the election, you know, that's Thanksgiving. You should be thankful for an honest and fair election system. Now, we have been talking before about Hammer and Scorecard, which turns out to be CIA software designed to rig elections. This is coming from General McInerney, and he was being interviewed by Steve Bannon and sort of blew the whistle on the whole thing. This is a video over on Rumble, which is a new video sharing site that is becoming very popular very rapidly because unlike YouTube, it doesn't censor, it doesn't block accounts, and it doesn't load up your screen with all these little things saying the AP has called the election for Joe Biden, and there are plenty of safeguards in place to keep the elections honest. And so Rumble is definitely getting popular. I'm probably going to look over there about posting my videos there here. Now, apparently there are a lot of Republicans who do not think that Trump is going to succeed in his challenge to the Biden theft, for lack of a better word here. But apparently Republicans do want Trump to front the Republican Party during the Biden presidency because support is building for Trump to run again in 2024. And of course, you know that those who stole this election from him are going to be dead set against Trump having anything to do in 2024. So unfortunately, this rigging of elections and this battle for a coup d'etat is nowhere near over. But apparently Trump is constantly being tipped as a favorite to run for the White House again in 2024. And the Republicans want him to be a leading voice politically for the party. So Trump is not going away regardless of what happens in the court system. Now, Mike Stone is out there with a bit of a warning saying that we should prepare to resist the left's meltdown. And he's basically talking about vote fraud, case-demics, democratic principles like free speech and honest elections are trampled in the dust. Black lives matter, white lives don't. And it's just getting crazy out there. And as a possible example of what he's talking about, Antifa has literally started issuing public threats against Trump voters. And I read one of them over on Twitter saying that if Trump does not concede by this weekend, they're going to start attacking conservatives. Okay. So it's going to get ugly. It's going to get violent. And that, I think, prompted this article coming from newstarget.com. Advice to the unhinged left: stop calling for revenge against Trump supporters, or you're going to regret what you unleash. And I am very, very troubled by sentiments like this. I certainly don't want to see a civil war in the streets of America. I don't want to see bloodshed, but it does seem like this is where we're heading, and there's certainly nothing that I can do to really stop it. Again, as John F. Kennedy used to say, when peaceful revolution becomes impossible, violent revolution becomes inevitable, and we do seem to be on that path here. And with Democrats and unhinged leftists just giddy that President Trump may finally be driven from office thanks to massive vote fraud, just like he predicted, by the way. And if he predicted it, why didn't he do something about it? A lot of these people, the leftists, are calling for punishing the legions of supporters for the crime of voting for him. Sounds like the beginnings of a Soviet-style purge to me. Now, to justify this indefensible anger, they are claiming without any reality that the president is a Nazi who hates minorities and women. Now, that, of course, is not true, but you can't argue rationally with people who are afflicted with Trump derangement syndrome. Or to be more accurate, you're dealing with fanatics. And there is no talking with fanatics. And that's another reason why we may be headed towards blood in the streets. Anyway, some Democrats are actually calling for reprisals and retribution against basically 1/4 of the country, the 73 million Americans who count themselves as supporters of Donald Trump. And it's probably more than that if you erase the election fraud. So it's definitely getting ugly out there. On the other hand, it may be that the Democrats are concerned that Trump may succeed if he goes to the Supreme Court. And that's why we're starting to see this talk of violence against Republicans and violence against Trump supporters and Trump voters, just like we saw in 2016 when Hillary lost here. Now, over in Michigan, the Michigan Board of State Canvassers has now voted to certify the election despite irregularities. Apparently, one of the two Republicans on the Board of State Canvassers, Jeff Timmer, changed his mind about rescinding his vote. And so the vote was 3-1. And the Michigan Board of State Canvassers has certified that state's election. Apparently, 1 hour before Jeff Timmer demanded certification of the Michigan vote, he tweeted, "Merry blanking Christmas, Melania Trump." So this really is ugly, and it sort of underscores the fact that it is the curse of political power at all levels that it attracts the very sort of people who should not be allowed to have it. I mean, what childish behavior here. All righty. Again, in Michigan, a witness and a former U.S. congressional candidate is speaking out. Witnessed the Biden ballot dump at 4 a.m., witnessed officials tampering with the tabulators. So it's still coming out, even this late. Down in Georgia, as you know, they're getting ready for a Senate runoff there, and Georgia elections officials have decided to extend the use of ballot drop boxes for the January Senate runoff. Okay. And again, what the Democrats want is a tie in the Senate. 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. There are 50 Republicans right now. These last two seats are going to determine whether the GOP maintains control or if it's a split house. Out in California, apparently Governor Newsom is starting to select a Senate replacement for Kamala Harris after she is sworn in as vice president. Now, apparently, there is a leading candidate, a front runner, but they're saying that Newsom may just decide to go with a completely different direction. So they don't know what's going to happen out there. All right, well, let's talk about COVID-19 because it's still out there, and it's going to impact Thanksgiving for a lot of people here. Apparently, up in Oregon, Governor Kate Brown has literally ordered citizens in the state to snitch on their neighbors if they see them breaking the coronavirus rules. Remember in Nazi Germany how many informants they had among the citizens there, just snitching on their neighbors? The same thing is happening here in the United States of America. And Governor Brown insisted people call the police on anyone they see breaking coronavirus rules that Oregon has recently instituted. And the state has put a 2-week freeze in place with people limited to meeting in no more of groups of 6 from 2 households inside and outside. We're going to take a break for commercials. We'll be back with more news after these few words.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cachingproperty.com. That's cachingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. We'll plant 'em anywhere you like and blow up anyone. Whip this world into a frenzy, killing babies, dads, and moms. If you got the money, honey, we got the bombs. If you got the money, well, we won't say we did.
Welcome back to our show here. And again, a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network depends on you, the listeners, to keep us going in this fight for the future of the Republic. And that's really what's on the line here, because already looking at the pronouncements coming out of Biden's transition team, they are planning major changes to this country, most of which will involve the destruction of what remains of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution itself. They're openly talking about socialism and communism. And I certainly don't want to see that in this country. I mean, when I was a kid growing up in school, we were told this was a bad thing. And so, again, we do need your help. And thanks to everybody who's already donated. And for those who have not, or those who want to donate again, the postal address to send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity, cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And of course, all of this information is available at republicbroadcasting.org, which is the website for the network. So the network thanks you, and I thank you. And let's just get on back here to the news. Before we get back to COVID-19, a story just now crossed my desk here that I think is worth mentioning. Apparently, YouTube has blocked and demonetized One American News Network. And so apparently YouTube feels it's above reproach. It's above public criticism. They're simply going to disconnect anybody that doesn't agree with that particular or their particular point of view here. Alrighty. So getting on back to the COVID-19. Apparently over in Washington, D.C., they just passed a bill that will allow children to be vaccinated without the parents even knowing. Now think about that. You know, the government can stick a needle into your child's arm. They don't need your permission, and they don't even need to tell you. And one almost wonders if they're going to tell the children, don't tell mommy and daddy that we gave you a shot here, because they don't need, it'll just worry their little heads here. And apparently, also in Washington, D.C., as we are seeing all across the country, people are defying the curfew order. Now, doctors are out there saying that the CDC needs to start warning people that the side effects from the COVID vaccine shots are going to be very serious, that they're going to experience some serious side effects. Remember, last week, the media was trying to cover up for this, saying that if you experience side effects, that means the vaccine is working, and you should be glad for that. Now, I don't know, side effects means there's something in there that your body doesn't really like. I think that's what that means here. Alrighty, now, apparently Governor Andrew Cuomo is out there saying that we should be alone physically on Thanksgiving and have a more spiritual Thanksgiving where we're thankful for people like the seniors who sacrificed so much. And Cuomo said his plans for Thanksgiving are to be with his mother and two of his daughters, although we've heard those plans have already been changed. Okay. So, but apparently nobody is listening. 50 million Americans are traveling this week for Thanksgiving. Dr. Fauci is not happy. Well, too gosh darn bad. And yeah, despite the best efforts by Democrat hypocrites and Dr. Fauci, a lot of people are heading for the airports there. Or they're out there on the road with their cars here. Up in Pennsylvania, the health secretary, Dr. Levine, has issued a one-night suspension of all alcohol sales starting the night before Thanksgiving. So if you're in Pennsylvania, you might want to hit the bottle shop and stock up ahead of time. You still have tomorrow to get whatever libations you intend to celebrate with your turkey. All right. Now, we're hearing all across the country that law enforcement is refusing to enforce these lockdown restrictions. And apparently every sheriff in the Los Angeles region is now refusing to enforce Governor Newsom's COVID curfew. And so it's 5 California counties, total population of 17.25 million people, which would by itself would be the 5th most populous state, are openly defying the state's governor. So again, people are pushing back here. But in a shape of things to come, Qantas Airways is saying that COVID vaccinations will be mandatory for travel. No jab, no get on the airplane, and we're hearing rumblings from other air carriers. They may go along with that as well. This is going to be the beginning of a trend. If you don't get the vaccine, you're not allowed to travel, you're not allowed to go to work, you're not allowed to go shopping. And look how hard they are pushing this. That's what makes me so worried. Going to take another break for commercials, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Honey, I'm home. I grabbed a newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, the majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper doesn't give out the important attention of what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Hey gang, Patrick Slattery here with an important message that is pertinent to anyone who shops for groceries, eats food, or just has an inquisitive mind like myself. What I'm about to introduce you to is a segment of our food culture that has been kept so low profile to the American public that virtually no one is aware of how dominant it is on our refrigerator and cupboard shelves. What I'm talking about is the kosher certification industry and a new app, Koshertified, that delivers a comprehensive education on all aspects regarding this little-known practice. After reviewing this app, I found that it is useful for practically anyone who purchases food, regardless of their religious faith or identity. Its database of products not kosher certified is a win-win convenience for all food-conscious people. So why not check out the kosherquestion.com or click on the link at nationalbugle.com and see how modifying your grocery shopping with the Koshertified app can make a huge difference for your future.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Working 2 jobs ends never seem to meet. She often goes hungry so her babies can't eat. Fatherless son wears torn clothes to school. We're making fun of him's the only golden rule. She doesn't know she's the favorite daughter. If someone wants to help her walk on.
And welcome back to our show here. We're talking about the coronavirus. And over in the United Kingdom, in response apparently to all the protests going on here, the coronavirus restrictions are going to be eased over Christmas for 5 days and allow up to 3 households to meet indoors. And this is going to happen in England, Scotland, and Wales. So again, getting out in the streets and complaining does seem to be having an effect out there. Now, somebody pointed out here, this is an article that came out of Natural News again, and pointed out that for all the talk about coronavirus death counts and everything, abortion is still the leading cause of death, killing 37 million worldwide. And again, that's for people who think that abortion really is ending a human life. And I know the liberal leftists don't think so. They think it's just a blob of protoplasm. But if you think about it, we're all just blobs of protoplasm. And this thing about abortion as retroactive birth control, I find a little distressing, to put it delicately. Now, we were talking about how everybody seems to be ignoring the lockdowns. We have a place of business that we do business with here in Santa Claus where nobody is wearing the masks, despite Governor Holcomb's earnest entreaties, if you will, here. And apparently, people are tuning out from the corporate media scaremongering, and corporate media is somewhat concerned. Apparently, there have been analyses done on social media interactions, and apparently they've dropped back to levels prior to the March lockdowns. And apparently, if the government wants to keep us afraid of something, they're going to have to come out with something new because they have ridden COVID-19 for as long as they possibly can here. And again, a lot of it has to do with the fact that everybody knows the corporate media lied to us about the election. So why should we believe what they're saying about the COVID-19? All righty. Now then, we already talked about that here. This is a strange story, and it almost reminds me of the movie Clockwork Orange at the very end. Apparently, Los Angeles is now allowing gang members to be hired by the police department, but apparently conservatives are being screened out. And it is kind of a strange situation here, where people with past gang affiliations and past criminal records as gang members can become cops, but people with conservative points of view cannot. Right. All right, let's talk about the international news now. There's a lot going on out there. This is a repeat of a story I mentioned yesterday, but I feel it's worth repeating again. The United States has rapidly deployed heavy bombers to the Middle East this week, B-52s. This is apparently sending a message to Iran, and there's swirling speculation that the United States will take military action against Iran before Biden enters office. Now, remember, there was a story about a week ago where Trump had said that there was a tripwire for an attack on Iran, that if any U.S. citizen, any American, was killed and could be traced back to Iran, that would trigger an attack. And it doesn't mean that Trump is going to stage a false flag, but somebody could stage one for him. We know that Trump has been fooled by false flag attacks before. We saw that in Syria with the so-called chemical attacks that launched the cruise missiles into Syria, which actually didn't really hit much of their targets here. So U.S. Central Command, which seems to be issuing all of these orders, said the planes were sent into the region to deter aggression and reassure U.S. partners and allies. And apparently, and this is a little irregular, the B-52 Stratofortress planes were seen flying towards Israeli airspace on Saturday en route to whatever base where they'll be stationed, which is presumed to be in Qatar. And the aircraft were spotted on civilian tracking software approaching Israel before they apparently turned off their transponders. So for all we know, these planes are actually being staged out of Israel. Israel obviously would not want that to be known because it would invite a counterattack by Iran. Anyway, another little story, very concerning here. This is from blabber.buzz. Donald Trump kept one of his campaign promises. He brought our troops home from Afghanistan and Iraq. But when you look at Joe Biden's cabinet, especially his pick for Secretary of State, it looks like Biden's administration is going to push for sending those troops back in. So I hope they enjoy their short time home. But it definitely looks like the war party is going to have a really, really good time underneath the Biden administration. And apparently there's been a little bit of a kerfuffle between a Russian warship, the Admiral Vinogradov, it's an anti-submarine destroyer, and apparently it challenged the United States USS John S. McCain in the Peter the Great Gulf, and basically ordered it to turn around or risk being rammed. So again, we're rattling the sabers out there, and all it's going to take is one mistake for open warfare to begin. All righty. China's embassy in the Philippines is out there declaring that it is the United States that is creating chaos across Asia. And it released a harsh statement after the U.S. National Security Advisor backed countries in the region that have disputes with Beijing. Now, Robert O'Brien said, "We've got your back." He told that to the Philippines and Vietnam in Manila. Both states are locked in maritime rows with China, and the White House envoy also underscored Washington's commitment to Taiwan. Now, Beijing considers that Taiwan and Hong Kong are internal matters that the United States should not be meddling in. So once again, looks like, again, pushing for war with China, pushing for war with Russia, pushing for war with Iran, and it's going to cost a huge amount of money out of your pocket, and it's going to cost the life and limb of many of your children. And you have to ask, what for? So the power elite can stay in power? Apparently, Obama's got a new book out, and basically is trying to get rid of his legacy as the drone president. Now, he still holds the record for the number of ordered covert assassination strikes via drones. And he's out there trying to explain it away by saying, well, the machines did the killing not me. Well, somebody had to give that order, and he was the commander in chief. Now, this is an interesting little story. We've been talking about the Tigray region of Ethiopia and how it's starting to really get violent over there. And apparently the Ethiopian army is accusing the World Health Organization Director General, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, of being the sponsor behind the war in Tigray. And they're accusing him of arms trafficking to supply them with weapons. Now, not the sort of thing you expect the World Health Organization to be involved in, but then probably nobody was really looking to begin with here. Getting on to the economic news here. Another story, this was from Investment Watch blog, saying that America's economy cannot survive another lockdown. And yeah, we all know that. And as I said yesterday, what may be going on here, the reason the fear-mongering of COVID and the lockdowns and the masks are still going on is the economy was headed for a collapse even last March. And experts, knew it could not sustain what was going on here. And they're going to blame it all on COVID-19 and the lockdown in order to save the skins of the bankers and the corrupt politicians who mismanaged the economy of this country into something like $27 trillion in debt at least, not including the unfunded mandates, which are hundreds of trillions of dollars more. Now, there's been a study by the HEC Paris Business School and Bocconi University in Milan, looking at the economic losses here in the United States of America versus the number of actual deaths from the COVID virus. And the numbers come out to $6 million per life in wreckage caused by the COVID shutdowns. Oh, that's where we are here. A lot of talk about student loans. We know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and a lot of other liberal Democrats want them to be completely forgiven. But whether they're forgiven or whether they simply defaults, it's going to cost the U.S. taxpayer $400 billion with a B dollars. This is going to be a larger amount than the subprime crisis of 2008. All right, Saudi Arabia, apparently their landmark IPO for Aramco is costing the kingdom billions of dollars. Apparently it was not put together properly or with due diligence, and it's coming back to really bite them. And one has to wonder if this meeting between Netanyahu and Crown Prince bin Salman had something to do with that. Getting on to immigration and various other issues there. Spain deploys the police to West Africa as Canary Islands migrant influx increases 10 times. And apparently Spain is sending law enforcement into Senegal to tackle people smugglers after illegal migration from West Africa to the Canary Islands increased by 1,000% during 2019. It's a huge, huge mess. Might be an interesting time for Cumbre Viejo to blow its top here. A little bit of science news here, and it's good. We have China has launched the Chang'e 5 mission. This is a sample return mission to the moon. It's going to go on, it's unmanned, it's going to go up there, it's going to land, it's going to scoop up a whole bunch of rocks and dust and bring it back to China. These will be the first lunar samples collected since 1976. They're doing really good work over there in China, and I wish them just a tremendous amount of luck. And apparently, well, we're going to go ahead and open the phone lines now. Area code 512-248-8252. And there is a concern here as countries continue to explore the Arctic, both militarily and economically. They're discovering that there are a lot of methane craters on the Arctic Ocean floor. Some of them are described as super seeps, and they're very concerned about the methane discharge because methane is a much more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide was claimed to be. So there's going to be some issues there. All righty, we're going to go ahead and start taking phone calls, and we're going to begin with Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I just wanted to connect some threads together.
Yes.
And that is this the guy who's with Dominion. What's his name again?
It's not Cooper. It's close to that. Yeah.
Affiliated and have him on speaking with Antifa in Germany.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So Dominion is linked to Antifa. Again, I want to point out who's behind this. There's Facebook and Google and Twitter and all the social media, all the corporate media on television that we see. You can throw the bankers in on that. It's the CIA. The CIA, by the way, who are the biggest funders? The Democratic Party, of course.
Yes.
Who are the biggest funders of the Democratic Party? Well, 18 of the top 20 donors are, guess who they are? They are, I'll be polite and say the word Zionists. So they own all the social media. They own the corporate media. They're the bankers. By the way, just as an aside, Biden's new Secretary of State designate is another Zionist Jewish guy. So they'll be directing the foreign policy under Biden as well. But the FBI, so the entire Democratic Party funded by you-know-who, and linked with Soros, one of the biggest donors, with the CIA and Antifa. The CIA and the FBI are definitely behind this. And this Dominion thing, linked with Chavez, linked with these elections overseas, it's clearly the CIA. And Mike, I don't see any way around. This is such a conglomeration of power that they will never give it up without a fight. We will need to fight to take this back. I mean, physically fight. They will never give this up. These billionaires with all their billions, these bankers who can print money out of nothing. The Antifa and Black Lives Matter, they're funded thugs, connected both to the CIA and the Democrats. And by the way, George Soros and the people who fund the Democrats. So I don't see any way around, literally, speaking up for our rights, like at Lexington and Concord, just about. I really can't see it. Everything is too powerful. If we don't do that, Trump's going to lose. He's going to lose.
Yes.
And, the courts, how are they going to stand up to that? I think I spoke yesterday, the carrot and the stick. The carrot is they can print money out of nothing. And all these billionaires will lose their complete empires if Trump goes back there and roots them out for trying to fix elections and coup the United States. So their fortunes are on the line. The CIA is an institution. The FBI is an institution. The leaders of those institutions, the institutions and the people, are up for jail terms and treason. Really.
I know you're speaking the truth. Peter, I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. We got to take a break for commercials. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Stop Terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruthpharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Peter in LA, and we're talking about the dire circumstance of this country and just how united all of the billionaires, corporate media, CIA, and so forth are to basically bring about the transformation of our nation into something that we, the American people, are probably not going to really like being in. And I noted yesterday that so far, to date, the FBI has not investigated even one of the allegations of election fraud. And that tells you just how completely, totally corrupted the entire system has become. The good news, of course, is the 2020 election was a wake-up call to the American people. The corporate media is not going to be able to convince us it was an honest and fair election. That's going to be a major step on the path to the collapse of the current system here. As we like to say over at the What Really Happened shop, we have a coffee mug there that says the fastest way to bring down a dictatorship is to force them to act like one where everybody can see it. And that's what happened in the 2020 election.
Well, Mike, just on your FBI point, remember they were the Comey and Rosenstein and all those guys. They were the ones falsifying the FISA records, again, trying to coup Trump, as was Brennan of the CIA. They were part of the coup. They're part of it before, they're part of it now. And they're the ones that will go to jail for treason, some of them, if Trump succeeds. So their whole institutions are at stake. But these guys, although they're immensely powerful in money, and the old things where you're having, if you ever watched the movie Valkyrie, when they're trying to overthrow Hitler, remember?
Yes,
and
I
grab
remember.
the radio stations, grab the telephone exchanges. They have all that. They have all the communications. They have enormous power and money. But you know something? They control institutions. They control all these institutions and the press and everything else. But what they don't do is they can't beat us in a fight. They're small in number, immensely powerful, and they want to take it all over, but they cannot beat us in a fight. There's not many of them. And it's going to take that, because these guys are like cornered rats. Everything is on the line. All the chips are in the middle of the table, and they're going all out. They're trying to run the card table. And there's no backing up for them. And because of that, there can't be any backing up from us either.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Okay. Anyway, we're coming up here on the top of the hour. Say again?
No, that's it for me, Mike. Thank you.
All right. It reminds me of this wonderful little video that was called The Tiny Dot. And over this next station identification, I'm going to go ahead and repost that to whatreallyhappened.com. People need to really understand that we're not as weak as we think. We're not as weak as we're told that we are. But we will be if we let the liberal agenda take hold of this country, because they're already going after the guns. They're going after what's left of our freedoms. They want to turn us into the new Soviet Union, and I really do not want to see that happen. We're going to take a break here for station identification, and we'll be back with hour 2 after these few words.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized, and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website, at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
Welcome to the Michael Rivero What Really Happened radio program.
And welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, good day to you. Aloha. Yeah, another great call by Peter, man. Right on the money,
Yeah.
Pete. Peter's right on the money on that call. Yeah, Michael, what's on my mind is you heard the breaking news today about this guy, Eric Kulumanui, who's the director of these Dominion machines that came out of Venezuela. Okay, you heard? Did you see the video of that?
The
This
new
guy should
video
be
where he's actually teaching election workers how to change the votes on those machines.
Yes, this guy needs to be taken out to a public square. They should be hung from a light post or whatever you're going to do to this guy. We got to start having public hangings, Mike, because what's going on in this country is treason beyond all recognition. And what's going on here is that creep right there is a proof right now. There's another Jewish guy that just came on now. And that guy was living in Colorado, by the way, another blowhard liberal state that went blue because of I think they're all on smoking pot or something. I don't know what's going on over there. But, it was a wonderful state. I used to live out there when I was a young teenager. I lived out there for like 8 months. It was a beautiful state. I love Colorado. I lived in Rye, Colorado. It was fantastic. But, Mike, I got to say this. What's going on now, and before I get into immigration, I'm going to get into this with this guy. You got another Jewish guy who's exposing this. So, the Jews are like in a battle royal here with each other. You got, of course, you got Jared Kushner of Trump's family.
Yes.
I don't trust him for nothing, Mike. I don't trust that schmuck for nothing. He's a putz in my book. But
okay,
I do got to say, the Jews are in a royal battle with each other. I don't know if it's the Kenazis against the Sephardites or the Sephardites against the Kenazi, but there's something really weird going on with that situation. Like, again, you got Bernie Sanders from Vermont, Blumenthal. All these Jews are getting these Senate seats, power they're getting in Christian states. They're only 2-3% of the population, maybe even 10%. They're not the Christian power base of those states, but they're getting elected. How? I don't know. What's going on with those women I don't know, men up there? I don't know what they're drinking in the water, but they're that liberal, Mike. Something's going on. Look at Jersey. You got a big Cuban population in New Jersey.
Hang on, Tom. Did you catch that story where Sidney Powell came on out and said that every Democrat running in this last election started out with 35,000 votes? So they were trying to bias the elections at all levels, House of Representatives, the Senate, local seats, everything.
Yeah, Mike, I saw that. And, Breitbart and Newsmax right now, they're talking about this Jewish guy just said that Donald Trump was ripped off by 6 million votes. They already had $6 million votes in the machines already. So look at the number. 6 million in the Holocaust, 6 million votes. That's always the number 6 with these leftists. It's the number 6, the mark of the beast. I look at that always at the mark of the beast. And, I look at another numerology, Mike. The number 3 is the most powerful number, actually, if you look at it. 3 and 12. The 12 is the most ancient power number, but the 3 is actually numerology, the most powerful number there is in numerology.
Okay, well, I'm not a big fan of numerology.
The Zionists always use the number 6, which is, I guess they always say it's the mark of the beast, whatever. But, I'm not going to get into that too much right now because I want to get on immigration in a minute here. But, yeah, Mike, this guy should be hung for treason. I know, like Peter said, there's a lot of guys, and our government right now should be held for treason. Look at Mike, as well as I do, Joe Biden does not have the capacity to have a 16-hour day in him. You think that's a tough job, the president. You think a man like him can do 16 hours a day like Trump was doing? Trump was doing 18 hours, Mike, 19, 20 hours a day. Trump was barely sleeping. That's how much he was really into the job of presidency. And you got all these buffoonery callers sometimes that call in, and they always want to bash Trump. A lot of callers don't even call anymore. I'm glad about that in a way because you know what, Mike? All they were doing, they were shrilling for against Trump. What do you want? Now I want to see all these guys.
Probably their contracts ran out after the election.
There you go, Mike. Wow, I could have said it better. And, Mike, now I want to see some of these callers after January 21st call in your show and how great Biden is. You can bet that's going to start happening. And,
I know it.
Peter made a
I
great
know
point.
it.
Yeah. Mike, Peter's going to make he made another great point. Mike, I really believe this is going to have to end in violence. I hate to say that. I don't want a civil war. I'm not a violent person. I don't want that. But I like the Revolutionary War had to be fought with guns. You had to fight it out. The British were not going to just leave. You had to fight it out. You know what? The same thing's going on here. And, I was listening to a show yesterday, Mike. It was very intriguing. You might find it interesting. I don't believe the Marine Corps would ever turn on American citizens. I don't even believe the Green Beret would ever turn on our citizens, the Navy SEALs, not even the Navy too much. The Air Force a little shaky. But I believe the United States Army could turn on the United States civilians because remember what the Army's made up of mainly. I mean, it's more like 50-50. And I don't know if that's a good thing for this country because when the American people get fed up like they are right now with this election stealing and all this nonsense, if the Army ever tried to turn on the citizenry, it's an all-out bloodbath, Mike. And I believe the Marine Corps, I believe the Air Force, and I definitely believe the Green Berets are going to stick with American patriots in this battle. I'm praying to God because they know the thievery of what they've done in this election and what they've done since 1960, what they did to Nixon with Kennedy. That was the first time the Sabo has been shot when they literally stole that election from Nixon. There's no question about it. And it all started with the Daily Machine in Chicago. You got this Sal Lewinsky's Rule for Radicals. Look at all the people who came out of Chicago and San Francisco, Mike. All these Bolshevik communists. Look at Bernie Sanders telling you he's full-fledged. He's a Bolshevik. He's a communist. He's telling you that. They're going to put AOC as another Puerto Rican communist. AOC is a big communist. A barmaid doesn't have anything inclination about history, and she's telling the American public what she knows. She's as dumb as a dingbat. She's like that Colin Kaepernick, another imbecile. Another idiot.
No, Alexandria makes Sarah Palin look like a Rhodes Scholar.
Exactly. But now, Mike, here, let me get on to immigration real quickly. I know you got our caller, so I'm going to get on immigration real quick. This right now, Mike, Biden put a guy that's going to allow millions of illegals to pour into this country. And I'm telling you, Mike, it's got to be nipped in the bud right now. It's got to be stopped. Millions of men need to go back into Washington. Okay, I know a couple of our callers are going to call and say I'm wrong. Millions of men need to go into Washington right now. I don't know if they should carry their guns or what, but they need to go in there and hold signs, whatever it takes. We will not tolerate another massive illegal immigration of our country. Donald Trump, as president, like I told you and a couple of your callers from Jersey, and I agree with one of your callers from Jersey, Donald Trump should have arrested those mayors, those governors, those commissioners, illegal commission. You got illegal aliens on some of these commissions in California, in Bakersfield, and all these other little towns in California where you got illegal aliens on the commission, Mike. These people, Donald Trump, before he steps out of office, should go right now before he steps down, if they force him out, he should right now, before January 20th, start arresting all these mayors and these governors and all these people that allow sanctuary city in our country. They should be arrested.
They're all guilty of felony violations of Title VIII. You know, we already know they're broken the law to do what they're doing.
And you're the only man that I ever listened on the radio. Oh, one other guy, Robert. You and Robert are the only guys that ever say that about what they have done with our country with illegal immigration. And Biden gets in there, Mike, it's going to be chaos. Utter chaos. It's filthy what these demon rats are getting away with. And, you know, Mike, I never seen Joe Biden have more than 200 people at a rally. You had Donald Trump with 40, 50,000 people telling him that they love him. You had a president of the United States, a guy who's the president right now who's going to be for re-election, and these people are screaming out, "We love you." Did anybody say that for bumbling buffoon Biden?
Nope.
I mean, it's unbelievable what this idiot is getting away with, this Biden and these schmucks. I call them a bunch of putzes. The punches.
Yeah, well, they haven't gotten away with it. I mean, you know, they haven't gotten away with it in the sense that the American people know this was a grand theft election.
Absolutely. Everybody I talk to, Mike, are saying the same thing. Everybody, I know a bunch of people, and they're all saying the same thing. This was a stolen election that somebody has to pay a dear price for this. Okay? We don't hear nothing about Hunter Biden and his laptop from hell. We know this guy's a crook. He got kicked out of the military, Mike. He got a dishonorable discharge out of the United States military. And this guy got millions of dollars, don't have no skill level. How's this guy getting $50 million portfolio, Mike? How? How's this guy getting 3 women pregnant within a 4-year period? It's unbelievable. And we never know. And the stripper, he had the one blonde stripper, he got knocked up. in a strip bar, and this guy had a kid with him. He's trying to deny it now. I guess the DNA came back where he's got to pay out child support.
Yep.
And bumbling Biden's getting away with all this nonsense, and his brothers are corrupted as hell. His sister, they're all corrupt. The whole thing's corrupt. China, corrupt, and these 80 million people voted for Biden. Mike, I don't believe this. I think it's a damn lie. It's a heresy. It's a heresy. Donald Trump got 74. This is what I saw today, Mike. Donald Trump got 74,287,000 votes. That's what I saw today.
He may have gotten a lot more than that. He may have gotten a lot more than that. Remember, votes were being taken away from his totals in some of these places. Some people saw it happen on TV.
That's correct. And you know what? And Donald Trump got 10 million more votes than he did in 2016. How does he lose an election if he's getting 10 million more votes? Would all these illegals come out of the woodwork and vote for Biden? So you got 38 million illegals in the United States of America. California's got 9 million. 9 million illegals in that state, the land of milk and honey, the land of Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon. And now it's all blue? What the hell? And you know, there's 54 electoral votes in that state, Mike?
Yes.
Why would the Republicans back in the 80s ever allow that state to go blue? If that's the biggest electoral college prize there is, they should have never allowed that. There should have been militancy to stop these Democrats from turning that state into a blue state. There should have been all a civil war right there in that state alone. Forget the rest of the United States and California, because that state's dictating to the world, to the United States about our electoral college. No way. And then you got Pennsylvania with all these. I don't believe Pennsylvania. You got the Black Panthers and Philadelphia intimidating white people and black people if they don't vote for Democrats. That's like saying the Ku Klux Klan should be at every voter box now in Ohio or all these other states, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Panthers. You got Mitt Romney went by a picture knowing that Sortero Obama's hugging over all over Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan.
Yes.
And the Democrat media didn't do a damn thing about that. That Rachel Maddow, you know what, that Rachel Maddow, Mike, if whatever happens in the next 2 years, somebody's got to do. That woman needs to be put in prison for what she's spewing out today. That woman needs to be put in jail. She's saying that American Trump voters should be put in jail because they're protesting the election. Rachel, a lesbian, homosexual mad cow. These lesbians or homos are running all these news networks, Mike, on the left. How is that happening? Who's allowing this? And they spew all this lie and hate, and everything's a filthy lie out of those leftist CNN, MSLSD,
yes.
ABC, NBC, CBS. Every one of those are controlled by leftist communists. Who's allowing this? Not the white majority of the males. No way. We got to stop it at all costs. It's got to be stopped and assist right now. And I'm fed up with this crap. I'm watching the whole United States crumble. It's already bad enough I saw South Florida crumble. Thank goodness a lot of these Hispanics out here realize what communism is all about. Communism is destruction. It's terrifying. Believe me, it's terrifying. You
yes.
go there, you understand. You ever been to a communist country, you understand how terrifying it is. You better shut your mouth, too, when you're over there saying one little word. You'll have 5 goons come beat the crap out of you. Well, and you don't have a gun to defend yourself with. You're lucky if you can even get them a hold of a machete over there. They'll come get that, too. They even confiscate the steel over there. It's unbelievable. So, Mike, what I'm hearing on the media now with this one guy, Eric Kukinow, whatever, this guy lives in Colorado. This guy is already telling you that Trump's not going to win through our machines that came out of Spain and for
yes.
Maduro and for Hugo Chavez. And this guy's allowed to get, and this guy's not being tried like George. Mike, let me ask you a question. I'm going to go. I know you got our call. What would happen if 1 million of us, or 100,000 of us, say 150,000 of us, were to march onto George Soros' property wherever he's in New York and march up? We want his ass in jail. I want George Soros arrested for starting this hatred in this country. What would happen if 1 million men went there? What would the news media do then, Mike?
Well, they would denounce them as deplorables and, troublemakers and revolutionaries and so forth and so on. I mean, they'll protect Soros to the bitter end.
That's when the crap's going to hit the fan, Mike. That's when it's going to really hit the fan. Because you know what? When 1 million of us march on that scumbag's property and demand his arrest, like this Jasleen Maxwell, what filth do we know? Does she know and she's not even spewed it yet? Just like Hunter's laptop. Nobody. So, I mean, 1 million men should go march on Soros' property right now and demand that he gets arrested for starting all this hate. Hey, the Hungarian government wants him arrested right now. Why doesn't Hungary go to Interpol and get his ass and put him in jail? The Hungarian prime minister.
My guess is Soros is being protected by the U.S. government because he's such a powerful asset.
Well, how come Trump hasn't gone after him, Mike? He's the president of the United States, knowing this hate that this guy's started in this country. The rioting, the cities being burned up and looted. And if Trump knows all this through the FBI and the CIA, how come they haven't arrested Soros?
Same reason they haven't arrested Hillary. They're untouchable.
Well, they got to be touched. That's the problem, Mike. Like that guy that started this crap with the Dominion machines. He should be arrested. Trump should arrest him right now. Right now, this hour. Right now, he should send in special forces to get that guy and arrest him. And let's hear what this guy's got to say. And how he was rigging this election. You know,
well, I certainly hope they call him as a witness. I certainly hope they call him as a witness when this case gets to the Supreme Court.
Well, I hope so, too. And it's like Patrick Henry said, Mike, give me liberty or give me death. Okay? Give me liberty or give me death. That's what this is all going to have to come down to. The bottom line, every man that's listening to your show right now, it's either give me liberty or give me death. And that's what it's got to boil down to. Because we can't tolerate this nonsense, nincompoop, imbecile crap that's going on in our country, Mike. It's a lie, filthy, zog lie. It's all hate, Kabbalah, nonsense is what it is. It's like a giant, filthy Kabbalah needs to be flushed down the toilet. That's what this is. It's a bullcrap. And we're allowing these billionaires. Look, I told you about the story about Jeff Bezos, that moron. He used to live right down the street from me. He was selling books in a car, and he's selling all these books, and he got to become a billionaire because he's selling a bunch of paperback books and hardcore books that nobody wanted from the libraries, and that's how he got filled. He used to live in a park. I go by the park all the time. I used to see him. When I was a young man, I used to see him in the park lot selling books at the golf course. Well, I wasn't a golf course at that time. It was a dance hall, and there were Jeff Bezos would be out there with his green truck selling books. And look at the filth of this guy. Treats his father. His real name is Jurgensen, by the way. His name ain't Jeff Bezos. That was his Cuban father's name. His real name is birthing daddy. His biological daddy's name was Jurgensen. Like Sonny Jurgensen, the quarterback, number 8.
Yes.
For the Washington Redskins. That's his real name, Jurgensen. Jeff Jurgensen. I even know what high school he went to here in South Florida. He's full of crap. Another freak show. I mean, all these billionaires, like Peter said, they're all freak shows, man. The only good one, T-Bone Pickens was good, but he's gone off to the big blue. He was a great man. Now you had a lot of great billionaire men who were great, but who loved this country. But a lot of these guys are just totally anti-American, anti-white. I mean, they hate their own skin, Mike. Let's not kid ourselves. They hate their own skin. That's the problem we got going on here. A lot of these people in the New England states, I think they hate their own skin. Maybe I'm wrong. Well, what do you think? I'm going to ask your opinion. What do you think?
I think that their money and power has gone to their heads, and they see themselves as modern-day messiahs, reforming the world to whatever, ideological views they have. And sometimes they line up with each other, and other times they're in conflict with each other. But I think when we look at what we're going to do after our current system falls apart, I think there should definitely be a limit on how much wealth one person can have. I want everybody to be economically comfortable, but do we really need billionaires in this country? I think if you look at the cost-benefit analysis of allowing individuals to become that wealthy, I think there's a very good reason to basically, change the tax rules so that, there is an upper limit on how rich people can become. Because when they become too rich, they start to influence elections. They start to subvert our government. They, have co-opted the media.
Well, yeah, I totally agree, Mike, and that's why I told your show like months ago when we had this little debate. I said nobody should have more. I think I said I don't think any man in this country should have more than $100 million. That's $100 million. You're not getting another dime, man. Come on, the interest alone on $100 million is incredible.
Well, $100 million would make me very happy. What can I tell you? It would certainly make my life very different. Anyway, listen, Tom, I've let you talk for a while here, and we've got to take a break for commercial. And we got a lot of other callers waiting on the line, so we'll be right back.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, there's drugs to get you up, and there's drugs to help you get down. There's drugs you get from a doctor, and there's drugs you get downtown. And there's drugs that help your hearing, even drugs that help your sight. And there's drugs that help you think that every little thing is gonna be alright. Smoking, steam, and even shots, pills, capsules.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Steve in West Virginia. Steve, thank you for waiting so patiently. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I got just a couple things for you. First of all, I want to tap on to what Peter said, Peter from Los Angeles, saying that, these guys aren't that tough. There's just, they're powerful with money and stuff. I want to tell you, as a U.S. Marine in the mid-'80s, I was stationed at Quantico, Virginia, and as a combat engineer. And my job actually was to rebuild. There's several rifle ranges and pistol ranges on Quantico. And what we did is rebuilt the ranges. And I got to tell you that the people that I saw in the CIA that came to qualify with either pistols or rifles, they were just a bunch of fat guys with beards. I'm not joking either. I mean, the Hollywood has promoted this image about the CIA and the FBI, and they're not what people think they are.
No, they aren't.
They're bureaucrats. That's what they are. They're bureaucrats. They sit behind all they do is sit behind. Probably 90% of them sit behind a desk on a computer every day. They're not the way they're characterized in Hollywood. They are not. I'm telling you that because I've seen it firsthand. I spent a year, I watched them qualify on different ranges and show up. and that's both the FBI and the CIA, and who knows what other, DIA or whatever. My second point is I want to give you a commendation for being so level-headed, with all this news, because I listened to True News last night, and I'm done with them. The way the Rick Wiles, the guy that runs the show, he just went crazy last night and said Donald Trump, he was very emotional and was saying that Donald Trump made a deal to save himself, and that's why the GSA is I mean, he does this all the time when something goes wrong. He's very emotional, and he starts going after Trump and everything, and it's just crazy. And he claims to be a man of God, yet in some ways he's as boastful as Alex Jones. And I've just never seen a preacher or a man of God that is so prideful and boastful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look what Proverbs 21:4 says about pride.
Yes.
So I won't watch True News anymore. I'm done with them. I mean, they do this every once in a while, and they're mad because Trump hired the guy that's homosexual, Richard Grenell. They go on and on about his hire of that guy. That guy's done a lot of things to stick up for Trump and help Trump. And they took away the True News' press pass because they were going after the Jews and making all this stuff, Jew coups and all that stuff, which I agree with. I mean, I agree with, but the way they're doing it on the internet, what did they expect? So once again, I'm done with True News, and I thank you for being so level-headed. I'm done. Take care, Mike.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Steve. We're going to switch over to Miles in Maine. And Miles, I'm probably going to have to take you through this next commercial break. What's on your mind today?
No problem, Michael. Aloha.
Aloha, nui.
I really enjoyed that last. Yeah, I enjoyed that last caller. I'm not an advocate for homosexuality, but if you do something good, I don't give a damn.
Yeah, that's kind of my attitude.
Yeah, I mean, when did we ever get enough good people? Anyway, though, excellent call by Peter and another great descriptive call by Tom. But I would just like to have Tom take notice of one thing, and that was the survey at 29 pounds, and we all know what kind of patient that is. That's the Marine Corps guy.
Yeah.
And they said that over a third of them said if they were told, so you know what I'm saying, Mike. So go ahead.
Yeah, but I have
an insight.
I have an insight on that 29 palms thing because one of those Marines. Wait,
hold on, and let me finish it.
All right.
And then you finish it.
All right.
They said that over a third of the people. They said over a third of those surveyed would agree to take weapons from the American citizens. Now go ahead, Michael. Give me the punchline.
Okay, well, like I said, one of the Marines who took that combat arms survey at 29 Palms became a graphic designer after he left the Marine Corps, and we did some business together, and he basically said that none of the Marines really thought that they would be able to point guns at American citizens and shoot them if they refused to surrender their weapons. But they answered yes on the test because the officers kept saying that that's what they wanted. And so they basically, 1/3 of the Marines went along with what the officers were pushing for. And so that test really is not a true measure of the attitude of the Marine Corps, at least at 29 Palms.
Yeah, and I had heard that too, Michael, and the first thing I thought was that was propaganda to be levied out there, that it would be a normal thing if they could just implement it. So I agree with you on that, but I was hoping to get your perspective on that. I'll hold and go ahead and have the commercial.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We're going to put you on hold. We're going to come back to Miles after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extendivite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After one day of taking Extendivite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendivite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Miles in Maine, and Miles, take it away.
Yeah, Michael. So, I agree so much with so much of what you say, but if like Khrushchev said in '62 at the UN, we're going to take this country over without a shot. I, like you, would like to see us take it back without a shot.
Yes, very much so.
And and I think it is doable. Because another great saying you have, to make a tyranny collapse, let it expose itself, and
Yep.
hey, what's going on here?
Yep.
More than ever. So my contention is, what would be your opinion here? So if we were to go ahead and just say the Trump supporters in the military, in the police, in the law enforcement, if they just said, you know what, we're done, we're leaving. The military, you'd have to say at least 50% of them were Trump supporters. We're going home. We're not putting up with any of this. And we're going back to tend to our families and our freedoms and our interests.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys go ahead out here and be as corrupt as hell as you want to be.
Well, it could happen. I mean, military revolts and military coups d'etats have happened throughout history. The results are always, based on the character of the people at the very, very top. But most rank and file military people I know are strict constitutionalists. And so I think in the long run, I would trust them to do the right thing.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, not even that. Just saying, today I'm giving you a 2-week notice, 30-day notice. I'm leaving. I'm all done. Give me my papers. I'm going home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with this. I mean, we're no longer standing for freedom. We're not standing for American citizens. We're not standing for the Constitution. We've got corrupt organizations that have been entrenched here in forms of the highest levels of law enforcement known to the nation and known to the world, throughout the world, working against overthrowing our leader. We're leaving. We're going home. We're going to stand by our president. We're going to stand by our citizens. We're going to stand by the Constitution, and we're leaving. You guys do whatever you want, and we'll talk with you later on when you make your decision.
Well, it might actually happen. I mean, whoever has the support of the military has the high ground. And I don't know where the military rank and file stand. I think like you, at least half of them wanted Trump to remain president. The question is how many of them are aware that this election was fraudulent because information into where the military are is very, very tightly controlled. And they're probably already being brainwashed to think the election was honest and fair and that Biden is the new president and just deal with it.
Well, exactly. If they control it on us, you can only imagine the job they're doing on them. But
it's much worse. It's much worse. I've had people come out of the military and just say that they get the corporate media channels and that's about it, and everything is surveilled and censored.
By the way, isn't that where they get forced vaccinations, Michael?
Oh, yeah, they get a lot of forced vaccinations. In fact, the Gulf War syndrome that so many of them came down with was thought to be linked to an experimental vaccine they were all given, which contained, I think it was called squalene, that's known to have some issues with it. But of course, the military came out and said it's all in their head and, we're not going to pay for it.
Yeah, good memory, Michael. But to preface my comments, what got me thinking about this is when you see these issues go on in Europe.
Yes.
I look back through history. I'm kind of that's where I'm in the corner with Peter and these guys. Peter, magnificent call all the time. Right on the money. But I look back through history, and you look at Lech Walesa.
Yes.
And how did they deal with these issues? Well, you see what I'm saying? I know you understand, Michael. But maybe you can articulate on that more. But when the people get up and say, we've had enough, we're not serving in your military, we're not sweeping your floors, we're not doing anything, we're not promoting your national, huge multinational corporations, and they get up and leave and form their own societies and communities where they can function, much like Atlas Shrugged and some of these books people may have read. I think that might potentially, be the solution, might be the instructions to baking the perfect pie,
Well, I often look back at Mahatma Gandhi as an inspiration and how he was able to basically defeat the British government in India with nonviolence, which is not to say violence did not occur, certainly on the British side. And Gandhi himself actually was in favor of private gun ownership. He was a champion of gun rights, just encouraged his people not to actually use them. And eventually he succeeded. So it is possible to get this nation back on track non-violently. And I'm very disturbed by all the people who are talking about blood in the streets. And, I hope it doesn't come to that, but I can understand that if it does.
Yeah, and on the heels of that commentary, and I'll let you go, and I think Gandhi himself, that's where they for whatever reason, people look at him as like a socialist or something of that type. But I see him just by what you said. He's for gun ownership, but peaceful gun ownership. Defend yourself, defend your life. And that, I look at Gandhi more in the framework of the founding fathers than I do as some people try to view him and tend to latch onto him as more of a socialist character. I look at him as more of like a founding father type of character, where we want you to have your rights and we want you to use them wisely, and we don't need to use anything to defeat these guys but our brains. And with that, Michael,
Well,
you have a great show, because you always have a great show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's hard to know what kind of a leader Gandhi would have been, because, he faced the crisis of the separation of Pakistan and the Hindu-Muslim conflict. But after that, he was assassinated, so we don't know what would have happened. We know that Indira Gandhi didn't do a really good job. She was assassinated by her own protective detail. All right, we're going to switch over here to Mark in Georgia. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
I take it we're in solid agreement that violence should not be confused. What violence is the unlawful, morally illegitimate use of force, and legitimate self-defense is not to be confused with violence, like the Afghans firing back when we invaded their country based on merely accusing bin Laden without any actual proof. So the thing is, regarding the right of self-defense, I think one thing we need to be clear, I just got word today that primers have been outsourced to China for quite some time.
Yes.
And so the right to keep and bear arms, well, what happens when your rifle it's good for a club, or if you can put a bayonet on the end of it, then that's all it's worth. Because, oh geez, another quail. Oh, that's okay. I've hatched out a bunch of quails, and I'm hoping that they've been dying.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Anyway.
Being a farm kid myself, I know what that feels like.
I had 25. I had better than 2 dozen that hatch out, and now I've got 8. So anyway, but I think that if there's anyone out there who has the industrial wherewithal and maybe the financial resources, we need to go recreate our own domestic ability to manufacture ammunition, or munitions, where we people having a right to keep and bear arms is worthless if you don't have ammunition to go into those firearms. And that's one thing that I've been thinking for some time. This archaic paradigm of percussion caps go back to cap and ball revolvers before the uncivil war that Lincoln started.
Yes.
I was thinking it would be better if we brought things up to date with where instead of using a mechanical firing pin that hits a primer, we had something where basically we had a spark that ignited the powder instead of a primer.
That's a good idea.
Being less vulnerable. I mean, the thing is, the ability to innovate is there, and I mean, any time before last year would be fine. I'm saying that I think there's a sense of urgency that we need to develop a means of defending ourselves, and there needs to be understood that with this awesome responsibility, with the possession of firearms is the moral obligation to use them morally. You don't go kidnapping people. You don't go threatening people that aren't posing a direct threat. But I look at these there needs to be, what I've been advocating for some time is a restoration amendment where we acknowledge we the people are the militia. We have a right to demand in a meaningful way that the government stop lying to us. That it
Yes,
stops
well, that's in the
telling
First
us their
Amendment.
narrative. The thing is that under the First Amendment, as it has been misapplied, for example, they talk about cases as though, well, this person tests positive. Does he have any symptoms? No, but that doesn't matter. He tests positive, so he's a case. Well, I think it's a basket case to talk about cases without putting it in context, because the First Amendment must be constrained by they don't have a right to suppress people saying, excuse me, you're not being honest about this. Like when Ron Paul wrote an article about how they're exaggerating this coronavirus danger.
Yes.
And Facebook deleted it. So, a right by nature has a moral responsibility attached to it. And when people misuse that right in terms of presenting a biased, the treason of lying us into war is not covered by the First Amendment. It's
No, it is not.
legitimately an act of self-defense when we're attacking countries that are perfectly legitimate in saying, well, we examined your so-called evidence with great care. We understand you're threatening to invade our nation, but the reason we can't hand over bin Laden is because your evidence, you show us a legitimate body of evidence that shows that bin Laden, that there's a legitimate reason to suspect him, and then we'll hand him over, but we can't hand him over based on what you gave us. And so I think that the paradigm of, well, we'll just accuse them of terrorism, and that's one thing that is troubling me, is I'm hearing that they're cranking up the war drums about attacking Iran again.
Yes.
And I'm like, excuse me, how about you apply the same standard to Iran that you apply to Israel, that you claim as our friend because you only hear their narrative? Does that make sense? I mean, the thing is, you can't
No, I
hear one side
understand
of the
exactly
narrative
what you're
and make
saying.
a judgment.
I understand, you know, I think that lying a population into a war of conquest is the highest of high crimes and misdemeanors anybody in government can commit.
And that's been the norm, and people should know better that Iran, the biggest danger to Iran is their own corruption from within, and the same thing is true of us, the same thing is true of Israel.
Yes.
The danger is not way over there. The danger is within our own nation, where certain criminal elements, you know, what needs to be exposed is the real problem are the criminals who defame Judaism by calling themselves Jews, and yet they pull the racket around the world of claiming that a bookkeeping entry is money. And I want to be clear, I'm not blaming Jews. I'm blaming people who, they are the ones who defame Judaism because they call themselves Jews, which the king of the Jews said, no, they're not. They're the synagogue of Satan. And I had a Jewish rabbi, a rabbi with Jews for Jesus say something about it being anti-Semitic. And I'm like, well, excuse me, you're not registering that I told you that most modern Jews are not Semitic, but Palestinian Christians are, like all Arabs, are Semitic.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you can use this dishonest label. Of
Well, you know, they're changing that now.
I agree with Jews of good conscience.
Yeah, they're
Sorry?
changing that now. The Israeli propagandists are starting to drop the use of the phrase anti-Semitic, and they're simply calling it anti-Jewish racism.
Yeah, well, I look at the racism of people who say, I don't mind the Jews who behave like God's chosen people. I mind the people who, quite frankly, Talmudism is the corruption of Judaism, not Judaism proper. And people, I want people to distinguish that it's like confusing Christian with Ku Klux Klan. It's like, no. And even then, I really don't know the Ku Klux Klan. All I know is a stereotype that has been inundated upon me like everyone else, that the Ku Klux Klan is a bunch of racists and they hate everybody, and you know they're and it's like, look, I don't really know these people, but I do know that while on one side they have certain legitimate concerns, that there have been some people that have gone overboard, and I see people going overboard the opposite direction. And I'm not a Klansman. The only person I know who's openly admitted to once having been a member of the Ku Klux Klan is Dr. David Duke.
Yes.
And when I listen to him, I hear a man who's completely opposed to racism. And they keep talking about Dr. David Duke as though he's currently in a high-level leadership position with the Ku Klux Klan, rather than the fact that he resigned over 40 years ago as a spokesman for a nonviolent chapter of the Ku Klux Klan, because he said basically anyone can, because it's a secret society, anybody can call themselves a Ku Klux Klan and do things that are disgusting and repulsive.
Yes. False flag.
Oh, that's the Ku Klux Klan for you. And that's where, I'm like, look, let's just deal with people as individuals and recognize that there are certain individuals who, quite frankly, need to be dealt with appropriately in terms of segregating those people from what they claim to be. You know, it's like distinguishing between, there are people around the world, oh, they hate Americans. Like, no, they hate the lawless impunity of certain criminal elements. And I understand where they're coming from.
Yes, I do
because
too.
I've seen how our military is very good about following orders and not so good about questioning or examining, should we be following these orders? And, like I've been known to say, when you guys say support the troops, you take it as though that what it really means to you guys, the people in the neoconservative establishment, they uncritically accept the official narrative. They
Yes.
believe that our mission has a moral legitimacy, and they can't get through their heads. It's like we're being lied to again, and you're going along with it by not questioning what if we're being lied to again.
Okay, well, Mark, Mark, Mark.
Anyway, God bless you,
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're almost at the commercial break here. I believe in supporting our troops because they're honorable people for the most part. I just don't support the wars, and I don't think there's any kind of a disconnect in that point of view. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. We got a bunch of callers waiting on the line. I'm going to try and get them all in our last segment after these few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Politicians and preachers once sometimes told the truth. We didn't throw war's first stone and sacrifice our finest youth. With no video games or cell phones, a house felt like a home. Children fought and played together instead of on a computer alone.
Welcome back to our show here. Last segment of our program today. We're going to go to the phones to Al in Canada. Hello, Al. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I'm going to talk about California for a little bit, but if you want to reuse your old shells, you're going to need an arbor press.
Yes.
Right?
Actually, as a matter of fact, reloading and home reloading are like trending searches on Google right now.
Yeah, imagine my surprise. Everybody knows that the liberals are going to come in and they're going to tax. They're going to probably double the price of ammunition and everything like that.
They're going to try and tax away our access to our Second Amendment right.
Yeah, and by doing that, they're going to cause the United States economy a lot of harm. Not to mention what it does to people psychologically. So I'm a big fan of economics, as you probably know.
Yes.
Trading Economics is a great website. So they're claiming that Joe Biden, with his, 480 or 500 counties that he won, accounts for 70% of the United States gross domestic product. And Donald Trump, who won about around 2,500 counties, like a 5-to-1, only accounts for like 30%, right?
Yes.
So California used to be Republican.
Yes.
It's 55 electoral votes, right? You're almost a fifth of the way there. It's huge. It's 20%.
Yes, it is.
And I know Tom in Florida has talked about this. You just sprinkle these places that are just on the cusp and turn them, from red to blue. Have you ever seen? I know I've seen it on your website. I've been looking for it and I can't find it. Where they actually show a timestamp of the votes for a particular person in a county. So it was Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
Yes.
And Joe Biden spikes huge in a couple of places in the middle of the night.
Yes.
And
More
most
than
of them
a couple.
were right around. Yeah. Most of them were right around California. So is California really blue?
Well, we don't know what's really going on. That this entire election was crooked. It's illegitimate. And we really can't draw any conclusions about the true state of the American people based on what we're told the results of the election were.
Not to mention, I don't care how scared people are. I really don't.
Yeah.
What I care about is what they do.
Well,
and obviously, more people were showing up for Trump.
Yeah, I think he won by a landslide, but it got reversed. Anyway, Al, I got to let you go. The music is playing.
Mike, you know he did. Thanks for
Yeah, I know he did. Anyway, Al, thank you very much. My apologies to the callers waiting online. Please try and call back tomorrow. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I think Steve Elkins is supposed to be sharing the microphone with him tonight. And please spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. It's never been more important. Actually, I've just been informed Ralph Winterroad is filling in for John tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.